I can remember the exact day my childhood died. Can you? The date was June 18th, 2010. I got in the passenger seat of my mom's Ford Expedition, and yeah, that's right. I'm allowed to sit in the front seat even if my mom says I can't. I'm a grown ass 14-year-old. After I got in her cool ass mom car, we drove to the small rundown movie theater in my hometown. We saw a movie, just us two together, for like one of the first times ever, which, us being alone, was actually a rare occurrence since I have four other siblings who were often with us no matter what we were doing, and, single moms, am I right? Haha, thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. The film we saw was the third Toy Story. The original Toy Story movies were my absolute favorite movies as a kid, and I actually carried a little 12-inch Woody doll made of plastic and cloth with me wherever I went, probably up until like the age of 5 or 6. And I definitely still don't carry a doll with me everywhere until I was 17, and people in high school definitely didn't call me the weird doll kid, so just shut the fuck up and don't even think about calling me that, okay? Even though I loved my mom and knew how much it meant to her to go see one of my childhood relics together, I still at the time thought in my 14-year-old brain that going to see a kids movie with my mother was like super lame. And on the way to the theater, I remember praying I didn't see any of my friends and hoping they didn't see me. Looking back now, I wish I was more grateful for this moment and other moments like this that I got to spend time with my mom. As time slowly separated our relationship as I grew older, I realize now as a 26-year-old man that I took many things for granted when I was a kid. The moments I missed, hugs I never gave, phone calls I intentionally ignored, the times I chose not to go to the Sox game with my dad, the times my mom asked me to watch whatever popular at the time soap opera with her, but I was simply too wrapped up in texting whatever high school relationship I was interested in at that time, so I declined. Life moves on, and the list of regrets just seem to build faster and faster. And as you lay awake at night, you go over all the times you should have said this or you shouldn't have said that. This is your life, and there are no redos and no takebacks. Once you've said or done something, that thing is printed into the fabric of time forever. It makes me think of... Never mind.
What we do in this life echoes in eternity!
As I sat in the movie theater's sticky-ass seats, my attitude of teenage angst from the beginning of our movie theater excursion slowly faded into soft nostalgia as the movie progressed. The familiar voices and faces of the characters on the screen began to remind me of a time before worry, a time before therapists, before diagnostics, ADHD pills, psych wards, and alcoholic fathers. A time before regret, before pain. I began to reminisce of the times I ran around the house with a Buzz Lightyear toy mimicking his heroic flight from the movies. It made the movies feel real since the Buzz on the screen was made out of plastic too, just like my Buzz. I began to remember digging holes in the backyard and the high-speed chases with G.I. Joe cars down the driveway and into the street. I thought back to the kid down the street, Miles, and how we would dress our G.I. Joes up in scuba gear and go on recon dive missions in his above-ground pool. Just two friends having fun without a worry in the world. Just as long as I was back before the streetlights came on. As I began to remember all these once locked away memories of my childhood, I soon felt tears welling up in my eyes, cautious that my mom would see them, since after all, I'm a big 14-year-old man now that likes girls and is looking at buying a car, smoking cigarettes and drinking vodka from the liquor cabinet in the basement only to fill it back up with tap water from the sink. It's a little trick for you high school kids. My mom made no effort to hide her tears, though. She knew her little kid was growing up and there wasn't anything she could do to stop it. The little boy that almost impaled himself with a lightsaber running around the house. The same little boy she rushed to the emergency room many times over with broken bones. Or the boy that begged her to let him bring home the puppy he found at a barn party, who he so creatively named after the words on his t-shirt he happened to be wearing that night. The same t-shirt covered in blood spatters from a failed front flip attempt in a bouncy house. At the end of the movie, I didn't care about looking tough anymore, and I had tears just streaming down my face. I knew I was growing up, and all the things I took for granted all those years would be gone through the passage of time. I can still enjoy those things, yes, but they would never be the same. I would never see a backyard and think of all the little caves I could make and play with my action figures in them. I would only see a lawn that just needed to be mowed. I would never look at a cardboard box and wonder if I got enough of those things I could stack them and duct tape them together. I could make a clubhouse for my action figures. Now, I would see a bunch of cardboard box and only see a dreadful container soon to be packed full of stuff. After the movie, we drove home and it was already late, so my mom went upstairs to bed. I went down to my room and continued to text message the friends that I was soon to be hanging out with. We all planned to meet up at the park down the street, so I waited until it was late enough and I snuck out the storm drain window in my basement. I hopped on my skateboard and skated to the park about 2 miles away from my house. I met up with my girlfriend at the time, Amy. That's not her real name for obvious reasons, and her friend. My best friend was also there, who happened to be dating my girlfriend's best friend. We smoked the rest of our cigarettes and a little bit of weed, and us two couples rode on the swings and down the slides together, just having a good old time at the park late at night. We hung out for a little while, and eventually we decided to walk up the road to my friend's house and continue on the night. While we were walking, a cop car pulled up behind us and flashed its lights. We were all stopped and given citations and arrested for being out past curfew, and we were made to call our parents. I was absolutely mortified. My mom picked me up in a fit of rage, but to my surprise, barely any words were said on the way home, which sometimes is actually scarier than just getting plain out ripped into by a good old-fashioned word lashing. When we got back to the house, she told me to wait in the car while she went inside. She came out carrying garbage bags one at a time to the trunk of her car, 3 in total. We drove an hour to my father's house, and she pounded on the door with me sheepishly standing beside her. My dad and his wife answered the door with sleep still in their eyes. My dad yelled at me for about an hour and finished his tirade by telling me how much of a fuck-up I was, and that tomorrow morning he was going to take me back home. And it may seem minute, but at this time I had been told by about every therapist and doctor that there was something wrong with me, that I needed to be fixed, and it just seemed to be a hopeless kid since all the legally prescribed meth, aka ADHD meds they were filling me with, just seemed not to be working. At the time I had wanted so desperately to be a man and to be out on my own. Little did I know that that was soon to come. My dad had told me how disappointed he was in me, and him being a big sports dude, he knew that I was everything in a son that he didn't want, and I knew it too. At the time, it seemed like I had done every single bad thing possible besides get arrested. I'd been caught with girls, caught smoking pot and drinking, failing classes, and now sneaking out at night. I wasn't a kid anymore, and I would soon be forced to put innocence and imagination aside, finding myself homeless shortly after this incident and in and out of boys' homes and psych wards across Illinois. But now I remember the feeling I felt that night as I lie in bed thinking today was the last day of my childhood. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.